You're so great.
Really wrapped it up right there, didn't I? Hello and welcome to Rhythm and Pixels, a video game music podcast. This is episode 32-5, and we're your hosts. My name is Rob Nichols.
And I'm going to stay on track.
That's right, man. And every week we listen to great video game music from all consoles and all generations, and we end the show by 11 p.m. No. We'll do our best.
Central time, right?
Oh yeah, sure. So every week it's just me and Pernell. We get together. It's just me and Pernell. But this week is different. This week we have a third person in the room.
A third individual,
but not quite
friend,
in the room. But,
person.
Not quite in the room. Give or take.
Friend in the air. I can hear you. Identify yourself.
I can hear you in the airwaves tonight.
This is Bedroth from Very Good Music and BG Mania, two VGM podcasts.
Oh.
And the Movie Bar with Dyad, who's another VGM podcaster, but we talk about like courtroom movies and stuff because he's also a lawyer. But now I'm on this podcast.
Nice.
So,
well, that's something I didn't know about.
But
the Dyad.
not permanently, just this week.
Oh, okay.
Do what?
It's something I didn't know about the podcast. Actually, our episode last week, which I don't think anyone's heard yet, but our episode last week was a little bit about the criminal justice system by accident. So,
wow.
Yeah. I hope
So now we know that Dyad is a master of VGM law.
VGM law. I like that.
VGM law, nice.
So the Very Good Music podcast, an excellent VGM podcast, but also BGM Mania. So did you just start that on that show, or?
BG Mania has been around for a while. The host Brian he actually is the operator. I'm kind of stumbling over all this. So BG Mania is a long-running VGM podcast. BG Mania, so like background music, BGM, but BG Mania. He hosted that with his friend Frank for a couple of years, and Frank recently had to leave the show. He got too busy with life and everything. So I had gone on the show a couple of times as a guest, and Brian and I have really good chemistry, and so I just said, hey, I can fill in, for a little while, and we'll see how it goes, and it's gone well. So I enjoy it. It's a different vibe. He plays his tracks in blocks, and so we talk kind of between the tracks, or like between the blocks of 3 tracks. Whereas mine is more traditional. Shukapow and I talk about a track, play it, talk about a track, play it. And it's just a little different dynamic. Wrangling a 16-year-old every week is sometimes a chore. But with Brian's show, I just have to show up and bring some tracks. I basically get to be Pernell, so it's really nice.
Yeah! Yeah!
The personality. You get to be the Frasier. And someone else gets to be the Roz.
There it is.
Right.
And the trick for Shukapow, you got to offer him credits towards a Nintendo game. Every couple of episodes, like you get one Nintendo game off the Nintendo eShop, but you got to come to the episodes.
When I started thinking of it more as just my show with a co-host who sits and plays the game most of the time, and every once in a while I make him chime in, it went a little bit smoother when I stopped expecting him to carry equal weight on the show.
I see.
I can imagine if it was like how our show is like, Shukapow has to come to the show. It's like, you got your 3 tracks? Dad, I had a game this week, and we went to the movies. Like, I ain't asking if you went to the movies. I asked if you got your 3 tracks picked out. We got a show to produce.
Did you finish your homework?
Yep.
Did you get your music picked? Did you get your music picked? Okay, guess we're gonna have to let one slide.
Look up the composers. Nah, he was always good about picking his music. It was just like teenagers, the attention span went everywhere, and he couldn't sit still while we were recording. So,
these podcasts are so much about nostalgia from when we're that age. So you can't. It's hard to separate those two things. Where you have to remember that we were also like that while we were enjoying these things.
I don't know. I will say personally, if we were getting together weekly, like keep in mind, I went to like a voc tech school that had an actual like communications environment for these kind of stuff too. But like if we were getting together weekly to talk about a game or games. Oh, I will ramble your head off.
Yeah.
But it would be about current games because I'm not old enough to have nostalgia. It would be totally like, this is the game I played last week.
Well, actually in high school, I played a lot of Atari, so there wasn't a lot of music in Atari games. But yeah, I could talk to you a lot about Atari games, 2600 and all that stuff. All right, so anyway, we have Bedroth on the show today because this is a very special Mother's Day episode.
On a very special episode of Rhythm and Pixels.
Yeah.
Bedroth wants to come to talk about motherly love.
Your mother.
My mom. What'd you say about my mom?
Well, I thought it made good sense. I was on the show, I guess about a year and a half ago now, and talked about video game dads because I was the sort of resident dad VGM podcaster. Ed has had Logan on the show a couple of times, but I regularly, as we've been talking about, have mine on the show. And so I thought it would be a nice sort of flip of the coin to come on and talk about moms this time.
I think it's a great idea. There's a lot of great video game moms.
I love that you just said that because I was actually about to say literally the exact opposite.
No, there's a lot. And the more you dig into it, the more they're around, they're there.
So this is why I'm hoping, like, I mean, we could think about this after the episode, but I'm contemplating, Steve, about getting people to use this as the Patreon topic for May. Because I acknowledge up front that I didn't give myself a lot of time to dig deep. But when I was looking, I was like, wow, there really aren't a lot of video game moms I've come across that aren't like, say, like Ness's mom, where it's just like, here, have your favorite food, here's your hit points, now get out of my house. And then you never talk to her again unless you call her to save your game or something. But, like, we're
going to talk about that later.
Oh, yeah, I'm looking forward to that thing, yeah, because, like, I was like, maybe it'd be cool if the patrons were, like, writing in, too. Like, here are the moms that I like from games, because I was hitting some roadblocks.
Yeah, I started...
I would say it was a little tough for me at first, too. But then I think I'm about to say what Rob's about to say, so I'll let Rob say it.
Yeah, with all topics, it's like I start to get into it, and then it just sort of snowballs. And I start to see the connections, you know, and I'm like in that meme when I'm seeing all of, like, the beautiful mind, like, math, arithmetic symbols and everything.
Things out and about.
Yeah. So without further ado... Bedroth, your mother.
Yes.
Your first mom.
My first mom. So I thought it was only fitting because my bonus round pick from last time was Asgore from Undertale, who is the goat dad. He's one of the last bosses in the game. And he is the father of the actual last boss in the game, Azrael Dreamer. And I played a really rocking cover of Asgore's theme. Well, this time I'm going to start out with one of the first tracks in Undertale, one of the first fights that you have, and a really, really meaningful fight for a lot of people. This track is called Heartache. I'll talk a little more about it when we come back, and this was composed by Toby Fox.
Okay, and we're back. You just listened to Heartache from the game Undertale. I like how I said that really in a positive way. Heartache from Undertale. This is composed by Toby Fox and picked by our guest Bedroth. So, we played the Asgore theme during the Dad's episode. But tell us a little bit more about this character.
All right, so this is the song that plays when you fight Toriel. who is one of the first characters you meet in the game. The actual very first character you meet is Flowey, a flower who tries to kill you, and Toriel saves you from this flower, and then guides you through some guides you through some ruins in sort of the tutorial area of the game, and then takes you to her house, where she bakes you a cinnamon butterscotch pie, says that you can stay there as long as you like, and then you try to leave, and she doesn't want you to. And she's very clingy, very protective, and says that there's nothing out there except danger and monsters, and you're safer there with her, and she wants you to stay with her. And so you have to fight her to get out, and it's really heart-wrenching, especially for people who go back and play the game. You find out later on down the line why she was this way, and it has to do with how she lost her biological kid, or thinks she lost her biological kid, and so that's why she acts this way. And Toriel's a really beloved character. She's this anthropomorphic goat lady, as was Goat Dad.
Apron, right?
Yes, with the apron with the upside down Triforce symbol on it.
Yeah, this is one of those games. I think I've talked about it before, where it's like I know I need to play this game because I know I'm going to fall in love with it. But it really entered like everyone's psyche. Like it's just the popularity shot so fast. Like everybody knows these characters in this music, whether they've played the game or not. Yeah.
Like I watched.
And Toriel's a big one. So I feel like any episode about video game moms, if we didn't include Toriel, I would have felt like we left something out.
Which means you did the do for both of us, because I only know about her loosely, and Rob doesn't know about her at all. So it would have been like we would have just omitted her not by choice, just we didn't know she existed.
I know the soundtrack. I know the Undertale soundtrack pretty well, and I love every time I hear the music from it. I'm just like, it gets transported me to a place. I mean, to a different place probably from the people who played the game. But I love the mixture of the instrumentation with that kind of like chippy sound, that kind of fake bit like chip sound. With the
fake bit, I like that.
Yeah, I've heard someone say that like in a very like disparaging way, but it's very like honest, you know. Like we're not out here like, you know, I'm like people who are. It's not worth the time like hacking a Nintendo or a Game Boy to make the music anymore. Just use some software and like mix it with whatever other instruments you want to use, because it can end up sounding really, really great. We know Anna Monoguchi, you know, with adding guitars and bass and a full band, but with Undertale, you know, you get like piano and strings and other synthesizers, and it sounds excellent. It sounds really, really good, and you get that fun nostalgic feel of the classic sound. So, and
it's a testament to what Toby Fox did. Heartache isn't even one of my favorite tracks. Like I wouldn't even put it in my top 5 from the soundtrack, but it's so good. Like I can't say anything negative about it. It's just I like other ones better, and it's. Even the tracks I don't love are just objectively good tracks.
And I think I remember like there was a game called Yik. I like to call it Yik, but it's pronounced Y2K. And it was a fan game that was made a couple years ago, and it didn't get received very well. It was classically panned by the community as a whole. But one thing that people will always come out and say, if there's one thing in this game that was worth checking out, it's the one track Toby Fox did for the game. Because it is a really good track. It's a battle theme you put into the game.
Oh, wow. It wasn't even just like a background theme somewhere. It was a full-on battle theme, huh?
Mm-hmm. It's a really good battle theme, too.
All right, well, Pernell, what's your first track, then?
All right, I was struggling like the dickens to come up with tracks for this episode. But I did have, well, not because I couldn't come up with them, but it was actually a couple of cases where I was like, I had more tracks than open spaces, so... But I think I came across a few, and I'm going to go with this one to start because this was the first mom that worked for me.
Okay.
This is from the game Breath of Fire 2, and the track title is called Don't Even Think About Dying, and it's composed by Yuko Takehara. welcome back. You're listening to Don't Even Think About Dying from the game Breath of Fire 2 on the Super Nintendo, composed by Yuko Takehara. Now, this is a sad track. You can tell by the sound, of course. And it's unfortunate that I had to choose such a track, but earlier in the episode, which honestly isn't that far long ago, I was talking about how I couldn't think of too many VGM or video game moms that were like upfront and personal in a game narrative or actively partaking in the action of the game. Mm-hmm. But the first mom that came up was from this game in the form of Rand's mother, Daisy. Rand is a character in the game that I'm not quite sure what species he is. I guess he's a horseman. He has a head shaped kind of like a horse, okay, but his body's so big, his head's just tiny, and that's not how a horse is. Anyway, I'm rambling. So
interesting.
So, like, eventually, as you're playing through the game, Rand is like the tough character. He's the buff guy who does all the heavy lifting. He's the voice of reason in a number of cases. And eventually, you come across the town he's from, and you meet his mother. And his mother is very like in his face. She always like talks to him like, "You dumb ox, what are you doing?" Like she's like that tough love mom, you know, like you can never please your mother, that kind of deal. And as you're playing the game and during these scenarios, you're like, his mom didn't like him very much. That's how you perceive it, you know. But later on in the game, she gets kidnapped by the evil force in the game. I'm not going to spoil this so much because Bedroth hasn't played it yet. So eventually, you realize that they took her, and you go to rescue her on like one of the games. I would call it the penultimate chase because there's a second final chase too, but this is the penultimate one where you're going through like the semi-final dungeon. Mm-hmm. And as you're roaring through the dungeon, you've already rescued his mother at this point, and she's just kind of waiting by the wayside downstairs while you're climbing this big tower. And you get caught in a trap while these walls are closing in and trying to kill everybody. Think of it like Final Fantasy IV's thing with Palam and Param. And the strong guy, Rand, is trying to hold the walls back while everyone else gets away. And he does it, but he can't get out, and he's about to get crushed by the walls. And as he's about to give up, his mom shows up and is like, "What are you doing, you idiot? I raised a stronger son than this." And he's like, "I can't do it, Mom. I can't. I'm tired." And she's yelling. I was like, "Don't tell me that." She's like, "Look, I'll help." And she runs in and tries to help and push the walls apart, and they can't do it together. So she goes, "Okay, well, that's how it's going to go." She runs back, and she takes a running start, and she slams into him and knocks him out of the way. And then she's holding the walls apart while she's saying goodbye to him, and then the walls crush her and kill her. And she's just like, in her last words, is like, "You're a good son."
Oh, wow. This music really fits.
Yeah, it hits hard. Like, I played this game back in 1994, and I still remember that.
Oh, man.
Like, it sticks with you.
Wow.
And even though you might have heard me say it here, I promise you, when you play the game, it still clicks. It's just something about it. And again, as a person who always kind of felt like, I think for as important as moms are to us as people, I feel like mothers deserve more love in actual video games. And I don't think they get nearly enough.
I think so too. Because on my track, it's very much a side story. This is, and bear with me, the theme of Blanka. This is the Street Fighter IV version, composed by Yoko Shimomura and arranged by Hideyuki Fukasawa. and we're back. Are you listening to the theme of Blanka from Super Street Fighter 4, composed by Yoko Shimomura and arranged by Hideyuki Fukasawa? So I picked this track because in Street Fighter 2, and I could have picked the music from Street Fighter 2, Blanka's ending theme, and I could have picked the ending theme from Blanka, but I did not do any of those things. So Blanka's story is that he was separated from his mother, and then he was, I forget what happened, but he was transformed into the electric monster that he is.
So he wasn't born that way?
He was not born that way. And
no, he was on a plane, and the plane went down in Brazil.
Yes.
And he was raised by electric eels.
He was raised by, I thought he was transformed by electric eels. Okay, so that happens, but the ending of Street Fighter 2 is he's reunited with his mother. And he's crying and he's hugging her, and like that's the end of the
and he
game.
Doesn't bite her.
No,
that's good. That's
but I mean, it does the credits. I mean, it does fade out. The credits roll. You don't know what happened after that.
How great would that have been? She like comes up. It's my baby. He runs up to him and he just like bites her head off.
No, actually,
if on her like his grab and just like.
Actually, if the screen actually faded out, and then right before the credits rolled, you heard the sound effect of like,
oh my God, like
it's just, that's it.
Now I feel like we're talking about Corpse Party all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Let's not do that.
Oh man.
But like, I feel like it's funny. I think about the idea of Street Fighter, and I just kind of chuckle because as I tend to do with games, I throw a little bit of real worldism into it, and that the concept of Street Fighter early on, if I'm not mistaken, Street Fighter 2. No, not even Street Fighter 2. There was no tournament per se. There was Street Fighter is one of the rare fighting game franchise where it's not centered around a tournament. It's just people fighting each other for reasons.
Yeah, so I think the first one, there was like a loose story around it.
Like Fighting Street?
The second one was like, you know what? We got these big characters. We give them all like really unique personalities. And then like you kind of learn a story at the end. But there's really, with Street Fighter, like there really is no hard canon to follow. And then the games don't even follow the same timeline. Like some of the later ones happened before the first one and after the second one. Like it doesn't make any sense.
Well, the thing is, it's not even about like the canon in this regard. I'm thinking about it more from like just the neighborhood disturbance aspect of it all.
Disturbance.
You just get this guy who's throwing sonic booms and a guy who's dropping whirlwind kicks and fireballs, just fighting in the middle of a neighborhood street. The cops don't show up. Like no one brings a gun out of us. What are you doing? My kids are in the house.
That's like one of the big differences between Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat. Because like when Mortal Kombat came around, they came in and they were like, we want like a story. We want like a full like this is why they're doing it. This is what's going on, and you can learn about it like as you play the game, and it's all told through context clues. In Street Fighter, it's like now they're on an airbase.
But in Mortal Kombat, they're also in a tournament.
Yeah,
they're in an otherworld tournament, so all the action is justified. Like there's
okay. So Street Fighter 4 is definitely a tournament, and Bison created the tournament so that he could analyze the fighters, all of their moves for Seth to make the ultimate fighter. Yeah.
Seth
that is sort of the like canon, like why. Now, did 4 happen? I'm trying to remember when 4 happened canonically, like related to 2. It's a big mixed up.
4.
Because I know that
4 happened
3
after
happened
2.
But before 3, because 3 is like the last one.
3's like the last one. 5, I think.
I thought 3 was like the first one because Charlie, Guile's partner, who was dead in 2, is
oh no, you're right.
3.
You're right. It is the first one.
No,
so
4 is not the first.
3,
no,
2,
4,
5.
3 is not the first one. 3 is way later, I think. Because that's.
But he mentioned Charlie though, which is an interesting
Charlie's
point.
not in 3. Ah, yeah.
Charlie's in Alpha 3.
Charlie's in Alpha.
Alpha is the first one.
Is the early one. And then there's Street Fighter 1, Street Fighter 2.
That's what I got
Fighter
up.
4, and then 5, and then 3.
Bedrock put some doubt in my head. I was like, wait a minute.
See, like again, it's all anime. It's
never
so
question
anime.
Rob. I could never question Rob with Fighter.
Well, the thing is, like, I own Alpha 3. That's like one of the only Street Fighter games I ever purchased was Alpha 3. So, like, I should know. I knew that, and I was still like, but am I right anymore? I don't know.
Well,
Street Fighter 3 I knew was the last one because back when that came out, the only fighters from the original franchise that were in it were Ken and Ryu, right? And everyone else was a bunch of new people.
That's right. Yeah. Oh, yeah. And it wasn't until Third Strike, which was like the third version of the game, that they add back Chun-Li and I think also Akuma. I mean, until then, it was just the two.
Okay.
So,
gotcha.
Yeah, but like in every game,
do you know Blanka's mom's name?
Oh, is it
Mother?
Carol? No. Caroline? No.
Caroline?
So according to
Sarah?
Wiki,
No.
the Street Fighter Wiki, it is Samantha.
Samantha!
Mova?
You know, if he gave me like another 5 minutes, I would have gotten there.
Just name a bunch of names. Samantha's would have been like one I could see you guessing.
Yeah, Samantha though. I don't know.
Samantha.
And Blanka's real name, Purnell. I know Rob knows. Purnell, do you know Blanka's real name?
Electric Boy. Billy. Rob.
Oh, I don't even
Rob,
remember.
Rob, you
I,
do know,
I,
right?
I don't remember his real name. No.
It's Jimmy. His name is Jimmy.
Jimmy.
Jimmy Shocker.
Jimmy
the Shocker.
Jimmy the Shaka.
But yes, I did do Who's the Boss.
Yeah, I was like, you sound like a little like Tony Danza over there.
Hey, Samantha.
Well, unless you go by the Street Fighter movie, like live action movie, in which case his real name is Charlie because he is Guile's long lost friend Charlie in the Raul Julia.
Yeah, they did whatever they wanted. I think they knew they were doing something campy, and I think Raul Julia was the only one who realized it, which is why he's like the best performance in that movie.
Well, he realized it was a Tuesday, so he could do whatever he wanted.
Yeah, he was like, I'm gonna ham it up. All right, so
Tuesday.
Bedroth, we're back around to you. Why don't you ham it up for us?
We are, and there are a lot of video game moms. I originally really wanted to go with specifically games I had played, so I could talk a lot about the moms themselves. I was going to go with, and I don't want to spoil any of your songs, but in Legend of Zelda: Link Between Worlds, one of the side quests you can do is collecting a lot of these little octopus things called
so
Mai-Mais.
Yeah,
and you're given that quest by the mother Mai-Mai, a big octopus thing, and so there's some music that plays in her cave, which is kind of calming and sweet and stuff. But in the end, that would have been it if I hadn't found this track.
Oh.
I went ahead and pulled something from bait and switch. I pulled something from the Cooking Mama series. And I didn't think I was going to at first. I went to I went to one of the sites that we use to source the music for older games and listen to a bunch of different Cooking Mama tracks. And at first I was kind of like, I don't really know. And then I got around to Cooking Mama Cook-Off, which I believe was the game they released for the Wii. At least one of them. And I found a results theme that was apparently not used in the game. Ooh. So this is unused results theme from Cooking Mama Cook-Off, composed by Masayoshi Ishii.
We're back. You're listening to the results screen, unused, from the game Cooking Mama Cook-Off. I'm doing that voice again. For the Nintendo Wii. And I did not write down the composer. Who was the composer, Bedroth?
The composer is Masayoshi Ishii.
Nice. I really liked the Cooking Mama games on the DS. I thought they were so much fun. They were silly, and I really enjoyed just the kind of quick-paced nature of the touch controls. Have you played a bunch of these?
I have never played a single one.
Oh, wow.
I think the closest I've gotten, there were a couple of these DS-style touchscreen games that I got on like demo where you're making food, but I think the closest I really got to something like this is the cooking mini games in Fantasy Life.
Oh, yeah.
Worthy then, because Fantasy Life was the bee's knees.
The Fantasy Life was Purnell's life.
Yes, it was. I put over 110 hours into that game.
I really feel like it deserves a port or a sequel that actually is not on mobile. There was apparently a sequel made for mobile games. It wasn't anyway. But we're talking about Cooking Mama, and haven't played it much. I don't really know why, but it just never crossed my across my video game desk, as it were. But
well, it's not. It doesn't have like the strongest like mascot characters, and it's not like an actiony type game. It's very like a calm, relaxing, having fun.
Well, in my case, I would say like the thing that made it so that it didn't click for me enough to go buy it was at the time it came out, the original one, mind you, on the DS. It just kind of gave me this vibe of like studio trying to capitalize on new technology to just make like a. Like it's a quick hit game. Like, hey, spin, stir the bowl. Okay, now flip the pancakes. Like that was the vibe. But the thing is that Cooking Mama became bigger than that, and as Bedraw's track proves, it got spin-offs and ports.
Yeah,
not ports. I had like sequels.
Yeah, it really did. The just because I think because it was just so charming. The people who did play it discovered like how charming it really was, and probably told their friends about it. So yeah, Cooking Mama is really just. Like, it's a series of recipes, and your mama, Yo Mama, is like the main character in the game, and she's teaching you how to cook these things. And every little thing you have to do is a mini game with a touch stylus of like chopping the vegetables, putting them in the wok, shaking the wok, and you're just doing all this stuff with the touch stylus.
And the reward,
trying to do it as perfectly as possible, almost in a way that's almost like a Trauma Center under the knife.
No, that game was a gem. And the thing about, unlike Trauma Center, your reward for succeeding at this game was hearing. Better than Mama.
Yeah, better than Mama.
It was something.
Or just like Mama. Just like Mama.
Just like Mama.
And in a trauma center, it's all about trying to keep somebody alive.
God, that game was stressful. Did you say you played that Bedraw?
No, but I've listened to the soundtracks a lot. That's got some really great music in it.
It really does. I regret not buying the second one on the DS. I bought the first one. I bought Trauma Team, and I bought the Wii port of the first game, but I never bought Trauma Center 2. And I think that one sells for a pretty penny now, which makes me sad because I would like to.
It's funny. I think I'm not really into the games where you have to really be super precise and have a time limit. Even with card games, like I really don't like card games like Speed, where you have to like make decisions really fast on the fly. I don't know if you have to multitask in games like they have got these Wordle clones out now where there's like 4 or 8 different Wordles on the screen. I can multitask. I can go fast in games if I need to, but if I have to do both at the same time, it really trips me up. So
yeah, Wordle I think works better when you're just playing the basic Wordle game because its value is in its simplicity and easy access.
Yeah, my wife has issues with like RPGs like that, where if we're playing a game that has like a wait mode fighting system, she can kind of think about strategy and like what character you want to use. But like as soon as there's an active time battle and there's like a timer going down, it's just like you freeze. You just get so nervous. And like, I totally get it. I have the same issue with like action RPGs.
What's weird for me is that I'm sort of weird in that respect.
You love that stuff.
I love that. Like I struggle at making decisions in real life. Like snap decision, make a choice, throw the box out or keep it. I'm like, yeah. But in a game where I don't think the stakes are high, because if I lose, I just lose a battle. Whoop-de-doo. Yeah. In that regard, I'm like, oh, this is simple. Take this guy, move him over here, charge up these 2 points, make him use his points to augment this guy's ability. Now he can take his attack and do double damage to this guy, but only as long as he's got the axe, and that guy's got his shield.
Yeah, that's
which will take it down because this guy can make him remove the shield because he has a special ability that makes him release his dodge defense because he's attracted to the guy. Whatever.
That's why you take that theory and you apply it, video game theory, and you apply it to your real life.
You say that despite the fact that you should realize that I have like 3 expansion board game boxes still sitting down. I was like, should I throw these away? I did empty them out.
So you have the board game boxes, you gotta take them upstairs, but then you gotta recruit another character so your brother comes over to help you out. But he's got a special ability to use the recycling bin. And the recycling bin's been powered up 3 times.
Recycle bin level
So
3.
waste management's gonna come by, and they come by faster now.
RPGs, because I'm a hoarder. I'm the guy who, when I get to the end of a game, I'm still gonna have like 50 potions in my pack because I'm like, well, I could probably survive this battle. I don't need to use it. I gotta save it in case I need it later.
Gotta save them for a rainy day. You never know.
There should be a mode in RPGs where at the end of the game, as the credits run, you get to scroll through your items.
This
be like, look at all the stuff you wasted. You could have used it. You could have done so much. Yeah.
I also feel like in every RPG, it should tell you like how frequently are you going to come across this item. If you use it now, are you going to regret it later because you're never going to see it again? Like that kind of thing. I feel like all RPGs should tell you that about your items, because that's the most stressful thing for me. Yeah. Not the really super hard ones you got to try multiple times. Yeah. It's item management.
I'll tell you the few games that have pulled it off, not by name, but just the concept, is the games where they make, usually involves crafting, I'll flat out say that, but games where they make everything semi-hard to get. Like, obviously, the best stuff is really hard to get, but you're not going to be sitting on 99 ethers, which means you'll never really need to use a turbo ether.
Yeah.
You'll always be sitting on, like, 5 ether and 4 turbos. You're like, well, the time calls. Why waste 2 ether? I can just drop a turbo. Just get it done.
Yeah, like it's like, everything's scarce. I'll just use everything that I get, right?
Or in a game like Bravely Default, it'll be a situation where it's like, okay, every turn matters. Do you want to spend 3 turns dropping ether to get this guy's level up to the point where you can use an attack? Or just save the turns, hit him with a super, so you can just do it one time and call it a day.
I think this happens when people are, like, the developers are tuning the games after, like, okay, let's get the play testers in. And the play testers come back and they're like, you know what, it's too hard. And the game developer's like, you know what, we can fix that. Just put more potions in there. And so now it's like, oh, okay, now I ended the game with 50 potions. And like, well, that's because the play testers thought it was a little too hard.
But now you can make a really ripping stew.
What I wonder is, Rob, how many potions are in your next game?
Oh, well. Man,
hey, Bedro, I'm pulling a Rob on.
Don't rob me. No, there are no potions because in this game, it's a game of tennis. This is Mario Tennis Aces, starring Mama Rosalind. Rosalind?
Rosaloo.
I don't know.
Rosalina,
thank you.
And keep in mind, after this, I got to pick my track.
We're back to the Frasier analogy. She's Roz. We're going to listen to the track Challenge Court, composed by Motoi Sakuraba.
Motoi Sakuraba.
All right, you've just listened to Challenge Court from the game Mario Tennis Aces, composed by Motoi Sakuraba. I think this was on the Nintendo Switch, right?
It is.
These Mario...
I have to bring it over one day.
Mario sports games are awesome.
Yes,
my brother-in-law, he moved out here to the East Coast, and he got a Switch for his kids. And he said, what games are good? What games should I get? I should talk to Purnell, right? And I said, yeah, absolutely talk to Purnell. But if there's any game that has the word Mario in front of it, it's going to be fun.
It's going to be fun.
You're going to enjoy it. If it's golf, or if it's tennis, or if it's racing, or if it's just Mario.
But if it's Mario Party, you're going to have a separation in the house.
Yeah, your kids might not be alive when you come home from work. But still, it's like, yeah, these are
Mario
just really, really good time.
Right, though.
Mario Divorce Lawyer. What happened? Well, that's the sequel to Mario Party, you see.
So I picked this game because Rosalina's in it, and she is with the adoptive mother of the Lumas. Lumas?
Yep.
Lumas. From Mario Galaxy, right?
Luma.
Mario.
How much do I love
Mario
the
Galaxy.
Lumas? Years ago, I
Luma,
actually got a
hey.
friend who does like stitch work. Her name is Renee. She actually made for me these two cute, like a blue and a black Luma, like plush doll.
They're so adorable.
They really
the
are.
black one?
She made me a black one and
the
a
black-
blue one. They still are in my house right now. I just have them.
Oh, that's nice.
Little adorable Lumas.
Oh, that's Kevin's wife, right? Yeah,
Uh-huh.
yeah, that's so cool. Yeah, people who have the ability to like sew and stitch things like is amazing to me. Like they can just
Right?
create something. Like,
Yeah, like
I was before I was a podcaster, I was a high school teacher for a little while, taught English, and one of the years I taught the Odyssey, and one of the kids in my class this year I taught the honors English kids, and one of the kids in my class, we did this big project where like we took up hallway walls and stuff like that with posters and murals. Like I had them get really crafty and stuff. A couple of my kids composed a little like a theme for the Cyclops that Odysseus fights.
Cool.
And one of the girls in my class sewed a little doll that was just a cute little chibi Cyclops doll. And I loved it so much, I made a comment. I was like, you know what? He's really lonely, though. Like, he needs a little Cyclops girlfriend. And at the end of the year, she surprised me with a Cyclops girlfriend. I still have them both. I've still got them both. I love them so much. But yeah, you're right, Rob. That kind of stuff is just, it's so sweet.
That's so cool. I love that. That's a great story.
Like, the ability to create. And it boils into like a lot of stuff. It's like whether you're cooking, or you're writing, or you're composing, or you're sewing. Like, just the ability to create is one of the most magical things that humans have been given the capability to do. It's just amazing what people can produce. And someone might sit there and tell you, "Oh, a Luma doll, where's the value in that? I can't eat a Luma doll, or I can't do something productive with them." Like, maybe that Luma makes me happy. Just having a Luma. Maybe that Cyclops doll makes you happy to see when you see it on your nightstand or something. Like, it's just cool to, I don't know, it feels good. Like Florida quality orange juice. It just makes you feel good.
Yeah, I like making a podcast every week, and I like making music, and I like doing. I love gardening. I spent this whole weekend just outside in the dirt, and it's always rewarding when it's done. Like when I've like stepped back and look at it, but then it's always like a month later when things have really started to grow. That I'm like, yes, I made this. I made all of this. All right, Purnell, make me a track as best as you can. BGM Baker's Man.
Make me a track as fast as you can. This comes from a game that's composed by a guy named Scott McFadden. It's not what you think, because it's not a track that really stinks. It comes from a game called Citizens of Earth. The track's called Hometown. For what it's worth, give it a try. I think you'll dig. The ear beats coming to you will make you sing.
Oh. Coming in hot.
Welcome back. You're listening to Hometown from the game Citizens of Earth, originally released on the WiiU, but I'm pretty sure it got ported. Composed by Scott McFadden. This is a track that plays in the original town you start the game off in, your actual hometown. And I could have used a more fitting track, most notably related to your mom's house. Boom! In your face. But I chose not to because I just thought this track was better. So
your mom's house is so on Earth. It's a citizen of Earth.
It's got its own citizenship.
It's got its own soundtrack composed by Scott McFadden.
So this is another example of a game where the mother takes front stage and does a lot of work. Mm-hmm. So at the beginning of the game, the main character is, if I'm not mistaken, he's the president of Earth. Like they really ham it up in that regard. Yep. And he's gone out trying to help solve, like neighborhood problems. The narrative ramps up, but initially he's just going out to help the neighborhood solve problems and such. And he's trying to show the neighborhood that he's a good person. They should love him. And your first party members that you get are actually your brother and your mom.
Oh.
and your mom is like your main healer in the group.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, it's great. And
Really cool.
she's a great character too. Like I had a hard time getting rid of her when I found other party members because you keep everybody. You can choose who you want at any time.
So they're all. Yeah, I had that issue with Chrono Cross for a while until I had to like really zero in on the characters that I liked because you get so many.
Yes.
Yeah. And then it's not just like, well, I've worked with them for so long now. They're the higher levels than anybody else. It's like you start to really love the little personalities of these characters.
And that's kind of the vibe I get from this game too. In that, of course, once you get them and their narrative is done, they don't do a lot of talking per se.
Yeah.
But the personality comes out in their attacks and such because every person in this game is based off of a profession, more likely.
Right.
Mom is a profession in this case. You're like mom, but then your brother's a postal worker, so he's like a postal worker. And you get like a hacker, you get a barista from Moonbucks. And every character's attacks are based off of that profession. So there's like a beekeeper, and their attacks are all based around bees. And there's just this fun element to be like, what does the barista do? Oh, she makes everybody faster. She gives them haste because she gives you coffee. Like it's just, there's a lot of charm in this game's creation and the layout of it. Like the music can go either way. Like it's not bad, but there aren't a lot of tracks that'll make you go, I'm going to bop this in my car.
Yeah.
But the elements of just experience, what you experience while you play the game, and choosing characters and watching the enemies and all of it, their personality just bursts forth from it. And it's a good game that unfortunately did not get a lot of love. Neither did its sequel, Citizens of Space. And as I was telling you in Bedroth on the break, this is one of the only games I can think of in history where they made the first game on the Wii U, then they made the sequel on the Switch, and then later they ported this one to the Switch while adding an extra narrative that actually links the two games, Citizens of Earth and Citizens of Space, together. You can play both games simultaneously. It's like you press one button, you'll jump to the other game. And you can just choose when you want to play which one.
Oh, interesting.
And then every once in a while, something will happen in the narrative that will connect the two games. You might have to bring both of them together to fight these like aliens that are actually affecting both worlds simultaneously. It's just...
That's really clever.
It's really clever. Like I've never seen another game pull this off. You've had things like, Oracle of Ages and Seasons where you can put a password between the two and then you'll fight a new final boss or whatever, but nothing that outright says these two narratives are intertwined, and we chose to do that later.
Right.
So there's something cool about that.
That is cool. Yeah, I don't know much about Nintendo Wii U, but I do know something for now. Something about the bonus round.
Bonus round. Oh yeah. Bonus round.
The bonus round is where we play covers and remixes and arrangements.
Bonus round.
That's a Bedroth special for
Yeah, there you go. I'm going to keep that in.
There you go.
The bonus round is where we're playing covers and remixes and arrangements on our theme. And our theme is Mother's Day. All about moms.
Mama!
Mamas.
Ooh.
Cooking mamas. Blanka mamas.
Mama, dry my eyes.
Tennis.
And make sure I can play more games tomorrow.
All right, Bedroth, what do you have for us for the bonus round?
Pernell mentioned earlier that Ness's mom doesn't really feature a whole lot in the game Earthbound. And I'm going to talk about that a little when we come back, because my bonus track pick is actually associated with Ness's mom in Earthbound. It's also one of my very favorite video game music covers ever. I just love it so much. It is officially, it's an Insane in the Rain production, which I know, Rob, you love all the stuff Carlos does there.
Yeah.
But also features Sab Irene, FamilyJules, and Adriana Figueroa.
Oh.
This is Pollyanna from the Mother series, originally composed by Keiichi Suzuki, with lyrics by Catherine Warwick. And I'm also going to say, go look up the video, because the video is also really, really cool on YouTube.
All right. We'll
The fact that this is Pollyanna, which I adore, and it has FamilyJules involved, I am very
I know you're a big
curious.
fan of his, yeah.
Lucky Charms.
We're back. That was the beautiful arrangement of Pollyanna from Earthbound, picked by Bedroth. That was fantastic. Purnell was bopping to that track.
I gotta say, like, I am genuinely, truly glad you chose that track, because we were saying it on the break, but Pollyanna, the vocal version of it, is one of my all-time favorite VGM tracks. Like, just period. Because the original wasn't in the game, aside from like just like an instrumental that played in certain places in Earthbound 0 or the first Mother game. But hearing the vocal track for the first time practically made me shed tears. Like, it's wholesome. It's one of the most wholesome tracks I have ever heard in my life, and you feel it when you listen to it. So thank you for choosing this track as like this cover to submit.
Absolutely, man. I'm going to earn my spot here because I'm going to ramble just a little bit. So, Rob, feel free to cut me off. But so I'm with you. I love this track so much. The lyrics are so great. And I think Rob has got actual recording of you and me both singing along to this. So you can definitely do something. But this is... So this track, the first time I heard it was in Earthbound, because that was my first exposure to the series, like a lot of people. If it's not Smash, then it's Earthbound. And this is the track that plays when you go back home after your quest starts. And you're actually in your house, and your mom is there. So that's the mom connection. Mm-hmm. And I went back and forth between this one and the love theme from Mother 3, specifically Mom's Hometown, which is like my favorite version of the love theme. It's the one that gets featured in Smash. I went back and forth between both of those because they're both associated with your mom. And Hinawa in Mother 3 is a really, really great character. But I eventually went with this one, partially because I love this cover so much, but also because this is in all three of the games. The series is called Mother. Mm-hmm. And in this game, when you're out and about, just like with a lot of different games, you can get status effects that will negatively impact you. And with a lot of them, there are items that will fix it. Like if you're poisoned, you can use an antidote. If you have heat stroke, you can use a wet towel. If you have a cold, you can use a cold remedy. But there is one status effect that only affects Ness, and there's only one way to fix it. That status effect is homesickness.
It's one of the
and if Ness is homesick, then in a fight, when it's Ness's turn, instead of being dizzy or taking damage or whatever, Ness will randomly think about his favorite food. Or Ness will remember something about his dog barking when he was a kid. Or it's some kind of memory that distracts him so he can't take his turn. And the only way to fix homesickness in the game is to call your mom.
Yes.
Oh, I love that.
I actually tested this. Back home, it doesn't work.
Wait, so if you go to the actual house, you don't cure homesickness?
It doesn't cure homesickness. They just didn't program.
I never checked that. That is so
But if you
cool.
call anytime else, when you call your mom, she just kind of gives you like a little pep talk or something, and it doesn't really do much of anything. I think that she has some function in the game. Dad is the one that saves your game. Your sister Tracy helps you store items. I don't remember what mom does, other than if you're homesick, you have a special conversation with her, and she's like, don't say a word. I can tell what's going on, and I'm really proud of you. You're my big strong boy. So, something like that. I don't remember the actual text of the conversation, but it's just really, really, really sweet, and I love it. I love it so much.
I got to point out one more thing too, because you made a comment, and I think it's one of the most hilarious elements to the game. So we got to mention it because you forgot this one part. You said the sister does the item storage and the dad saves your game. Your dad has one other ridiculous function.
I was going to say, I've only played this game a little bit, and I know what he does.
The dad gives you all of your money. Now, the mechanics of the game are that when you beat enemies, you actually generate money. But your dad is the one that's like just mysteriously collecting all of this revenue and putting it in your bank account. So there's just something funny about, okay, I was grinding Starman Supers to get the Sword of Kings. I fought him for 4 hours straight, but I finally got it. Let me go call Dad to save my game. Hi, Ness, just want you to know I just deposited $6 million in your bank account. Don't ask where I got it, because I'll have to kill you if I tell you. Just say it.
Just being a good dad.
You're a good dad with mafia connections. Don't worry about it.
Oh, I love that. That's such a great idea for like a status effect in the game, or with a game that's of an RPG fantasy game that takes place in the real world. of course he would have something like that.
Yep.
You know,
It's awesome.
It's just a great idea. I love that. All right, Purnell, what's your arrangement?
Ain't topping that. Just out of the way. But I do like what I chose because I was going for a theme for my last track. Because to me, the greatest video game mom across multiple games ends up being Mother Earth or some form of Mother Earth, the world you're playing.
Oh, cool.
So
Very
the
cool.
track that I chose is a cover of the track Mother Earth Altago from the game E7. It's a full band ensemble, and it's done by the likes of Joe Muntal, Kopan, and Max the Ichitaku. Welcome back. You're listening to the Mother Earth Altago full band cover from the game E7, originally released on the PSP. Actually, it needs to get ported, freaking heck. Composed or covered by the likes of Joe Muntal, Kopan, and Max the Ichitaku. It stands to reason that the E series holds a very comfortable, loving place in my heart. I just got my 500th workout in. I was asked to submit to the gym my gym name, to get featured in a newsletter. So it's going to be funny that I'm going to be in this newsletter. I was like, Purnell, a.k.a. Adol the Red.
Oh, I thought you were going to go Pure now.
No, my name is Adol the Red at the gym.
They're looking for like a redheaded person.
No, I wear red shirts all the time.
Oh, that's right. You do.
So, Adol, I love E's. And E7 was the first game. It set a standard for the series because it was the first one that featured different types of damage, and it featured multiple party members. So it's the first one where Adol wasn't rolling solo across whatever world he was saving. So it needed a rather grand track to kick off the adventure. And what track was more important than a track devoted to the actual country and world you were actually on? Mother Earth Altago. Altago being the country, Mother Earth being the fact that there's a lot of actual Earth or like planetary existence to the game's narrative. Because at the end of the game, I'm not going to spoil like specifics like who or why is doing it, but the world itself is ending because the world's just tired of humans ruining it.
Okay, so it's pretty true to life then.
It really is.
We're doing all right there.
And the final battle is essentially you proving to the planet that humans deserve to live on it. And I kind of like that because can you imagine a situation where we're like we can actually communicate with the Earth, and you're like, look what you've done to me. You pee on the walls.
It's a very
my country.
It's a very Star Trek thing where Picard is arguing with Q why humanity deserves to exist despite just destroying each other and their planet forever and ever and ever.
That actually happened? Because if so, I want to watch that.
Yeah,
episode.
it's the first episode of Next Generation.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to watch that episode.
It's cheesy.
I'm fine with that.
Oh, it's cheesy.
Let's be honest. that conversation at its core would have to be cheesy.
Yeah.
Because you have to dive deep into the element of like what makes humans human. Yeah. To actually justify why humans deserve to live despite, the usuals.
And
I that's feel, cheese incarnate.
I feel the first season of Star Trek Next Generation is cheesy, and it takes a while to get into its nice pacing seriousness. Anyway, this is Star Trek the podcast.
Star Trek the next E7.
All right.
So I would be very quiet on that podcast.
That makes two of us. I'm notorious for disliking Star Wars and Star Trek, but I do admit my dislike for Star Trek stems from the fact that it was the show that ended cartoons on weekday afternoon blocks.
Ooh.
And I was like, well, I'm not watching any more Fox Kids. I don't give a crap about Star Trek. I'm going to go do anything else because you ended my wonderful cartoons.
Missing out.
I like Star Wars, don't love it, but I like it. And I'm just indifferent to Star Trek because it's kind of like anime for me. A lot of anime there's so much to it that I've never jumped in. And I probably would like it, but I'm okay.
I think anime, the trick, especially nowadays, is just telling someone who knows a lot about it what you like in general and have them recommend stuff to you. Because at this point, anime's done everything. You can watch any type of show done anime style.
You just want to find the right ones. It's like going into a comic book shop and then... anyway, the good ones I've been to, and there's one down the road from me that's excellent, where like someone there is like really knows everything, and I know what I'm looking for, but I like these types of things, and they'll be like, oh, these things are going to be great for you, and like you can kind of read through them and figure out.
Yeah.
Like you need like a curator, someone who can make those good recommendations for you. Yeah.
Like we are for video game music.
I'm going to be honest. I want to recommend one right now, just off the cuff, just because I want to try it out. Like, don't watch it per se, just like look it up on the internet.
Star Trek Deep Space Nine.
That probably is an anime, to be honest. I wouldn't even lie.
Voyager.
Yes.
Discovery?
That's the one.
Right.
It's called Inuyashiki.
Inuyasha. I love Inuyasha.
No. Everyone does that. Inuyashiki.
Okay.
It's about an old man who has a family, and the family doesn't treat him all that right. Like, he's pretty much like the downbeaten relative in the family or whatever. And it gets weird because the narrative plot is that he's walking his dog, and he's contemplating what his value is to his family, to Earth, because he's depressed. And a meteor or spaceship crashes into him and kills him. And then the aliens get out of the ship and they go, oh my God, what the heck did we do? You just killed a human. We're not supposed to even be here. Like they're freaking out. I was like, okay, don't worry. It's okay. We can fix it. We can take care of this. So they rebuilt him. And he turns into this indestructible superhuman. But he doesn't know it. He just thinks he fell asleep on a hill.
Oh, that's funny. Oh, I got to find this one.
It's really good because it sounds wacky. But that's
put the name in our chat when you get a chance.
I'll do that for sure. Because the thing about that's most important is that it sounds wacky because the premise is wacky. But it's actually a legitimate, like, heartfelt show. Because another person, and I'm going to finish at this, another person got killed in that incident too, and he also becomes a superhuman droid. But whereas the main character is this old, heartfelt old man who's just searching for his answers in life, the other guy is kind of a sociopath.
Oh.
So
yeah, that's cool.
There's like this weird tug of war between like being that they're the only two that can stop each other on the planet. But they have different thoughts on how life is, and it's really, really good. Wow. It's really good.
Yeah, sounds really good.
I really would like to watch that.
I'm into this.
Yeah. All right. My last track for now is one of the great mothers of all video games, Jenova.
Christ,
I
hoped someone would bring this.
Yes, the mother of Sephiroth.
And
the destroyer of the world. This is actually the arrangement from Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. This is Jenova's theme, composed by Nobuo Uematsu, and these were some of the newer tracks added to the game, and so I don't know the arranger for this one. Who knows? It could be Uematsu again. Probably not. So here we go, from Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, the arrangement of Jenova's theme. we're back, and guess what, everybody? What? Guess what? I discovered that it is not an arranged track in Smash Brothers Ultimate. It is just the music from Final Fantasy VII, composed by Nobuo Uematsu. And you know what? It was also on my list. So forget all you guys. I'm just going to listen to this track. It's great. I love that opening.
It's still a good track in its own right. We're not going to knock it. We're not going to knock it for it. We'll tease you, though.
You can tease me. You can tease me.
But we ain't going to knock you for it.
But yeah, but just that quick little, there's 4 or 5 notes repeating and then just going right into, this drums. And it's so Uematsu.
It's awesome in the game when it happens, too, because when Final Fantasy VII battles start, they had this, weird, spinning pan down to the actual battle scene. And when Jenova fights occurred in the actual game proper, there was always it had a very grand feel to it. Like I'm fighting an outer space entity, and now we got to go to town. She's like this big, I guess even for that era, very hulking, presence over the rest of the party. And having this music play to those battles made it feel special.
I always liked that about the Final Fantasy games. Those final bosses always felt so otherworldly. You're almost in space now. Or you're in the universe.
But that's just it though. Yeah. Jenova, say for Sephiroth was the whole we're standing on this weird space plane somehow. Yeah. But Jenova was interspersed throughout the game, in just weird areas, in a lab or out in this cave or something. So it was if anything, it was a weird version of where it was an otherworldly being, but made placed in a conventional location. It was whoa. If anything, it kind of felt more special because they didn't give you this weird space background. We're in the basement of the lab, and she's still flipping out on us with these whatever spell she's casting and crap. So.
Well, I hope you all enjoyed that song. I enjoyed it. I liked it a lot. For more information on the bonus round, you can go to rhythmandpixels.com, or we'll have links to the arrangers and remixers that we've had on the show. Their SoundClouds of Bandcamps, and everywhere you can go and find the music, stream the music, maybe even buy that music and support these artists. All right, thanks to everybody. Thank you all. Thanks to all of our listeners. Thank you, and you, and you. Thank you, everybody.
And me.
And him.
Even you.
And them over there.
Also me.
I am a listener.
And those people in the corner that have been watching
those
us
people
this whole
on the
night.
spotlight.
Thank you, everybody. Yeah. Everybody for listening to our show. Episode 32-5? 5, yes, -5 of Rhythm and Pixels. This is our Video Games Moms episodes starring Pernell and Bedra. Bedra, thanks for coming on again. And Rob Effin. But F is for Frank. F is for Frank. Wow, my whole name is on the internet now. I'm going to cut this out. That's such generic.
Just make up a fake one.
Fine. Oh, Franklin. Darn it.
Rob Frogert Nichols.
Frogert. Thank you, Bedrock.
You're very welcome
for hanging out. Yeah, I really appreciate you spending the night with us. Talking about moms.
Thanks for responding on such short notice to my offer to come back on the show and grace you with my presence. It was
we
fun.
like hanging out with you.
Yeah, we like hanging out. You're a nice guy. You have a great taste in music, and honestly, all this scheduling just worked out perfectly. So
you bring a a very positive vibe to this entire community bit.
Yeah.
Oh, I feel very much the same way about you guys.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
We really appreciate that because it's one of the things we love about the community, the video game music appreciation community. I guess we have to call it that. There's a lot of great podcasts, and there's so many of them of the other producers and hosts of these shows are just fantastic people. So our listeners of the show, if you enjoy this show, there's many other great shows out there. In fact, one of them is hosted by a person that you've been listening to right now. So Bedroth, can you tell our listeners a little bit more about your show and where they can find you?
Yeah, so you can find me on Twitter at VGMPod. You can also find me on Discord in the channels for most of the VGM podcasts but also in my own channel. You can find a link to my Discord in the show notes of all of my episodes of Very Good Music, a podcast that I host with my 16-year-old kid, Yuko, and we talk about video games we love, music from those games, a little bit of reminiscing, a little bit of comparison for like the games I played when I was a kid, now the games that Yuko plays. And you can also find me on BG Mania, which is a more traditional, just two guys reminiscing about awesome video game music that I host with Brian. And you can find both those Discords in the show notes for their respective shows and come and talk to us there. That's probably the best place to find me.
Awesome. Yeah, and I encourage our listeners, definitely check them out. They're fantastic shows. Our last episode with Bedroth was all about video game dads, because he is doing his show with his kid, which I think is fantastic. But if you'd like to get in contact with us, if you want to send us a track suggestion, topic suggestion, or if you just have a general suggestion about the way we talk, the way we dress, the way we smell, we'd love to hear all about it. Send us an email.
rhythmandpixels@hotmail.com.
I'm asking for it now. And if you want a full track listing from this episode and all of our episodes and access to all the other cool stuff that we're doing, go to the website.
rhythmandpixels.com.
That's the best way to also find our Discord. We have our Discord server there. There's a link at the top of that page. You can come in and chat with us. It's fairly active, and if you ever want to get in contact with us directly, that's a pretty cool way to do it. We also have a YouTube radio station that's playing 24/7 8-bit and 16-bit classics and deep cuts. It's at youtube.com/rhythmandpixels. And if you want to support the show, the best thing you can do is just to tell people about it, or you can hit the subscribe button on whatever platform you're listening on, or you can go to patreon.com/rhythmandpixels, and all your support there helps keep the show running, and keeps us going to events and conventions. We'll be at Too Many Games this year in June. And then
gotta come up with a topic too.
Yeah, we gotta come up with something cool. You told me that we did something fun last year.
I gotta finish.
No, 2019. And
I forgot to tell you. What
I don't remember what it was. I remember it was fun.
I remember the fun element.
I thought I knew what we did, and then you were like, no.
I'll tell you after, and I won't forget this.
Okay, yeah, don't forget. And I'll before I kick you out of my house. And because I'm exhausted, and so there's all of that stuff is very helpful there. You also get cool stuff like T-shirts and mugs and stickers. All that goes through Patreon. You get access to prequel episodes. You get access to monthly live streamed episodes, and then at the end of every episode, we'd like to thank all of our Patreon members at the highest levels. So we'd like to thank Brooke and Frankly Zappa, both of you. Thank you so much for supporting our show. We want to thank the number one. Just the number one. GameFan44. Got more numbers showing up here. Mike Myers, Ulf Person, Bashan8060, Alex Messenger, a host of AVGM Journey, Andreas Milberg, Brian Pitt, Cameron Warma, Carlos Kung Fu Carlito from the Heroes 3 podcast, Chris Steenerson, Chris Weisner, a.k.a. Musashi219.
The Wise Guy.
Christopher Senstrom, Davey Cakes, David Taylor, Enchilada Regal, Harold Howard, Jeff Mazziota, Jeff, the Tri-Jeff,
Triple Jeff,
Justin Schneider from XVGM Radio, Martyris, host of the Re-VGM podcast, a podcast of all covers, arrangements, and remixes. Dr. Michael Bridgewater from the Forever Sound Version podcast, Michael Jennings.
I said holla.
Holla at the Michael. Michael Jennings, Rage Cage, host of the VG Emporium, where you can find all of your VGM needs.
At low discount prices.
So low, he must be crazy. Reinhard Zelkova.
All the rage that's fit to cage.
That's how I like
nice.
that. Rage to fit the cage. Sleepy S'mores, Steve Miller, did I say Reinhard Zelkova? Reinhard Zelkova, Taco, and Ed Wilson of the VG Embassy. Thank you very, very much. His last show was about the music of the Quattro series games.
When you said that to me earlier, I was like, are you kidding me?
Music is
freaking incredible Dizzy.
Yeah, well, that's a whole thing on its own. There's like 10 or 15 of those games, like on the Amiga and Commodore. But the music on those games are fantastic. There's all composed and developed by one person. And if you want to talk about arpeggios, that's arpeggioed. There's a lot of good ones in there. So so check that out. Thank you all very much for your support of our show. Thank you all, and many more too, for supporting our little program. this was kind of a quick record with Bedroth. I'm really excited to have you on the show. So thank you very much for spending the time with us.
I got one quick thing before Purnell graces us with his Purnell of wisdom, as Earl calls them.
Please do.
A couple of honorable mentions that whenever I am on another show, actually for any show, I have a short list of sometimes a few dozen different tracks on the theme that I like constantly play on repeat so I can pick out the very best ones. Anyway, so a couple of the ones I tossed. Oops. One of them is the 5-volt stage from WarioWare Gold. 5-volt is 9-volt's mom, probably most well known in gaming as the mom that freaks out on the WarioWare level in Smash.
Oh, okay.
Mother's Lullaby from Piku Niku, a fun little game that I just recorded an episode about with my twins.
Do you like free money? That's what I think about when I think about that game.
There's a mama worm in one area of the game who sings a lullaby for her kiddos. And then finally, a track, Hello, from A Short Hike, which is about this teenage bird girl who goes to spend a summer with her aunt on this island. And you find out some things about her relationship with her mom throughout the show. And there's a very meaningful phone call with her mom at the end. Oh. And this is the track that plays during that. And A Short Hike is a really, really fantastic little game. I encourage people to go play.
And it's short for folks who are concerned about time.
It is short. Really short. It's really low impact, stress-free, really, really great short little game. Fantastic music.
That's good.
It's a short hike.
I love the artwork of that game, too. It's very, very, very pretty. Very colorful. Yep. It's just like I like games that the developer of Fez, all the controversies aside, he said that when he developed Fez, he wanted to make a game that had spaces that you just wanted to enjoy being in, that you were like happy to be living or playing in this space, and wanted to spend time there. And I feel like A Short Hike is like that. They wanted you to enjoy that time in that space.
Mm-hmm. And I really like that the composer's name is Mark Sparling, and that sounds like Starling.
That sounds like Starling.
Perfect bird.
I love that. Well, thank you for the honorable mentions. Because it's important to have moms on video games.
We need more of them. Like I said, even if it ends up not being our Patreon episode for May, I seriously want more people to submit tracks related to video game mothers. Like I'm kind of hooked on that thought now. It's stuck in my head. I want it to happen. So,
well, actually, our next episode is going to be our live streamed episode. So,
because I thought we already chose a topic, and I'm concerned.
If we
did,
I don't know, but we'll find out soon.
I haven't heard of it.
Yeah, if he hasn't heard, I haven't heard, and we do the show. I have no idea. Anyway, thanks everybody for enjoying the show. Thanks again, Bedroth, for coming on. The show is Rhythm and Pixels. My name is Rob Nichols,
and I'm Purnell.
Have a good night. Have a good week. Have a good day.
Have a good year.
Do it.
Have a good past. And remember, moms. Well, if we're lucky, basically mothers and parental figures in general are generally something that I feel like I at least have taken for granted in a sense, where not in a negative light, but just more like you feel like, mom's mom, dad's dad, and they're doing for me what they do. The usual type, like, Mom, get out of my house, get out of my room, I'm busy, or Mom, stop calling me, I'm in the middle of something, But mom time and dad time is not guaranteed, it's not permanent, it's not forever. And it's worth taking a moment every once in a while to step back and go, what my mom's up to? Give my mom a call, because she's very important in your life, I would hope anyway. And as such, it is worth giving her that acknowledgement now that you're out and about and doing your own thing, to realize even though you don't really need her as much as you used to, she's still there, she still loves you. And you still have time to make memories with her and acknowledge her presence. So, every once in a while when you can, just reach out. Say, hey, Mom, what you up to? Want to eat a sandwich with me at the park? You don't? That's cool. I just wanted to see anyway. You do? Let's get down to business. I'm going to get pastrami and rye with some wheat and some whole grain milk, because that doesn't exist, but I'm going to find it. So, just saying.
Oh, I drink oat milk. My oat milk is whole grain.
There it is. And my oat milk stock went down. So, Oatly.
Oh.
So, good night, folks.